So something is happening right now that is outright shocking. And this is probably the most shocking news that I have heard so far in 2023. And potentially the most shocking news I've heard in the entire past year. So make sure you watch this entire video because I'm about to share something that will completely blow your mind. Also, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, as this will help YouTube push this video out to more people because they deserve to know what is going on as well. Now, here's probably the biggest con that we are all experiencing. And I seriously mean all of us. And I know this firsthand because it happened to me. Here's what happened. So recently I was at a larger grocery store. And no, I'm not going to name the name of this grocery chain for legal reasons. But this larger grocery store, this was out of many of their products, right? I went in the store to buy, it was bottled water, it was chips, cereal, and bread. That was all I was going to buy. So naturally, I went to each one of the aisles, and I was going to buy the least expensive of all the products. If it was going to be cereal, I'd buy the store brand cereal, right? So I went up to the aisle with the bottled water. That was the first aisle. Problem was they didn't have any of it. There was nothing that I was looking for. So I grabbed the only cases that they had. They had cases of Evian. I grabbed 2 cases of Evian. Each case was around like $10, $11 each. I grabbed a $5 loaf of bread, and I also grabbed a family-sized box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's my favorite cereal. Anyway, by the time I got to the chip aisle, I started to realize that I was going to be spending on these things close to like $30 to $35 on 3 items, on 3 things. I didn't want to spend that. So, once I realized this, I decided to ask a worker that, again, this was right before the Super Bowl. Maybe I missed something. Maybe I missed the aisle that all the water was, all the chips, all the bread, cereal. Maybe I missed it. So I asked the worker if I missed something, where they were keeping these products. Here's what he said. He said, and is probably not word for word what he said, but basically he said yes, that they do have products. They normally don't put out the products until Monday morning. They don't put them out until Monday morning. They're actually just sitting in the back. So I asked him why. Why? If the products are sitting in the back and you got empty shelves in the front, why don't you bring the products to the front? Or can I get some of the stuff in the back? You know what he tells me? He tells me management says that keeping the shelves somewhat bare will make buyers purchase the high-end products. That they're conning people to buy the high-end products. Now, there's nothing in this that is illegal, okay? This is probably frowned upon. This is probably not the best, course of business, but this is what this retail chain did. Now, honestly, I put the water back. I didn't buy $20-some worth of water, and I waited a couple days. And I went to Costco, right? Bought it for like $4 or $5. But I did buy the cereal. Now I thought this was a joke. I seriously thought this was a joke. Like, why would a real retail chain do this? Well, I asked another friend of mine who works, who's a manager at a very large retailer, and he said the same thing. That his store does this as well. They keep the less expensive goods in a container in the back of their store until the middle of the week. So even if the store is somewhat empty, they leave the less expensive items in the back of the store, okay, outside the store in a container, in a like Connex box, right? So that the customers are going to be more likely to buy the high-end products, because the high-end products don't sell if there's a cheaper product right there next to it. That's what they're telling me. So when we go into these stores and we think there's a food shortage, is there a food shortage? It looks like there's a food shortage because some of these stores are not packing the shelves full. But is there really a food shortage? Well, that's for you to decide. Because if it's based off of what I've heard from, a worker at a store, I'm not going to say the store, a worker at a store, and then my friend who manages a larger retailer, right? Again, this is concerning that we are spending more money on products, not because the products aren't there, okay, but because the store is not putting them out there for us to buy because they want to sell the higher end products first. So I think that's interesting. And again, I went to the store before the Super Bowl, and so that could have been something that had to do with it. But that was not what the worker said. That's not what my friend said either. They both said that yes, they do it because this promotes high-end sales. That's why. This completely blew my mind. But here's my advice to you. If you go into a store and they just have empty shelves, ask a worker and see, hey, do you have any of this in the back? Because I'm not going to say that it's going to be 100% of the time, but there's a good chance they do. And all they're waiting for is somebody to pretty much come out and ask, hey, do you have this? Can you get it? And they will go and pull out an entire pallet and start filling the shelves. But until that happens, if you're willing to buy the more expensive products, that store will sell you the more expensive products. So just understand that you've probably been conned this past year, and we didn't even realize it until now. So that's what we know at this time. As always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and share all the latest news and updates again. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.